Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Profitable Copywriter podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a big question that a lot of you have been asking recently. It's been on your mind. You really want to scale your copywriter business, but you're wondering whether you really need to hire a web developer or even a graphic designer to create your website from scratch, or whether you can do it. Okay, I'm going to keep this really simple. The answer, I believe, in my humble opinion, is that you don't need a web developer or a graphic designer to do you something all singing, all dancing. Just because I believe in you, I have faith that you can do it. If you're provided with the right tools and the right roadmap, you can succeed. It's very difficult, even though there's a lot of free information out there, to piece it all together. Believe me, I know. I started out as a blogger, and I struggled for a long time to piece all this together, redoing my website. And okay, I've come with a lot of experience now, but you guys are going to get the benefit of that. So I can hopefully help you avoid some of those pitfalls that I experience. Okay, but first, before we really dig into the content for today, what I want to do is just clarify the difference between a web developer and a web designer, just so that you know, if you're ever in that situation, you know what exactly those people do, and then you're informed. Right, so web designer is more along the lines of they will create a design for the website in a web design program like maybe, I don't know, Adobe. It doesn't necessarily sit online. And then basically they give that to a web developer to actually turn into code. So the web developer's job is actually to make that come alive online. So this is the difference between the two. Some web designers do swap over. They kind of have the skills to develop the websites as well. But it's good news for you. With the front-end editors, that means like us being able to go into our websites from the pretty end, looking at the pretty pictures. Those kind of builders on the front becoming easier and easier. It makes it possible for us to do our own websites, even if we don't have years worth of web development, web design experience. We'll be fine creating our websites. Okay, so let's just dig into the benefits of doing that. Okay, probably even in your first couple of years of being a copywriter, even if you're not right at the beginning of your journey, you're going to want to control your budget, because at the end of the day, you want to be profiting from your copywriter business. You don't want to be sinking thousands of dollars into your copywriter website. Now, let me be honest, let me be straight with you. Like when I develop a website, I tend to take it from a theme, and I'll help a client make their website look how they want it to. So I have one side of my business that is web development. But that costs money, right? So I'm quite cheap at the moment. I do that for like $2,500, $3,000, but still that is a massive chunk, isn't it? If you were to ask a really, really experienced web developer who've been doing it for like 15 years, you could be thinking more along the lines of $5,000-6,000 if it was just a refresh. Or if you wanted it coding and looking, exactly how you wanted it, you could be talking $15,000. So this brings me back to budget and how to do things, for cheaper than that, with the benefit of certain people's experience. So budget's a consideration, but then if you spend in the right places, so I'm going to offer you some tips on that now. If you spend in the right places, you're setting yourself up properly from the beginning, if that makes sense. So one thing I would suggest is that you choose fast hosting, okay? Google wants to ensure that your site is fast when people go on it, especially on a mobile view, because a lot of people are using mobile now. They're using their cell phones to surf the internet. So you need it loading fast. So it's really important to check hosting. Now, I would suggest making sure that you can have separate hosting from your domain provider and your, like, say, your platform. If you get the free hosting, it tends to be owned by someone else, and I've seen nightmares where people have not been able to retrieve their websites because this company has said, no, sorry, you can't have it, we own it, all that awful stuff. So make sure you get a separate host. I dig more into this in my masterclass coming up next week. So if you want to register, you want to really find out which ones I recommend and like how to go about that, just register. It's on Webinar Register, the link. I'll put it in the show notes of this podcast as well, so you can sign up and come down, and I'll share all that with you. Okay, I personally love big scoots, but I'll go into that more in my webinar. Right, so then next you need to invest in a theme that's mobile friendly. So that's basically a theme's the way your website looks. So on helennuttall.com I've got a theme, and I love it. So pretty, but you can make that theme look totally different depending on what fonts, what imagery you use. So, bear in mind it's only a start, but it will then create the brand you want to see, but without the massive price tag. The next thing after that is choosing your website platform correctly from the start. So, like, I have the firm point of view that Wix is not really useful. Squarespace, great, it looks great. You really have to be paying the top dollar to get the SEO access to it. I think, to be fair to Squarespace, they're actually working on that now so that you can influence your SEO more. So I'm gonna do some more research into that because it's developing all the time. Is that I personally prefer WordPress. It's a free platform, but you just put it onto you just pair it up with your hosting and then you're good to go. But it's very good for SEO. Other platforms are like Weebly, Shopify, or WordPress.com. So you might have heard of those, like maybe you're a beginner copywriter, you're just thinking about, right, I need a web presence, what do I use? Wix and Squarespace are examples of platforms that are all in, basically. So you can have everything together. You don't pay for putting your website on the internet, so it lives on their server, basically. And downside with things like that is that you're limited by what they can offer you. So, like, they might offer you certain bits of code that can make it look even better, but then you might see someone else's website that's got WordPress on it or Squarespace and it looks way better, but then you can't do that on Wix. So I don't like it because they just, I don't know, they just limit you to their stuff. It's not open source coding, which means that anybody can add to the list of things that you can use. Squarespace, to be fair to them as well, that's an all-in platform. They've got some beautiful portfolio templates, guys. So if you prefer Squarespace, I totally understand. You can't control things like site speed, though, or downtime. So if Squarespace goes down, you have no option but to just wait for that site to come back up again. Site speed, if your clients are trying to desperately look at your portfolio and it just won't load, then you can't change the hosting because it's there with them. I think they're quite limited, especially if you want to start writing content to really promote your expertise in copywriting. WordPress, on the other hand, I am biased towards WordPress. I've always used it for my blogs. I love it. I've been capable of getting any website onto page one eventually with WordPress. So I've got a lot of experience in knowing how to create the visibility. It's open source, which means you can add and edit pretty much anything about your site whenever you want. Sounds scary, but actually if you learn over time, bit by bit, it all comes together quite nicely and you will be fine with it. It's absolutely fine. You can make your site as fast or as slow as you want it to be. You can also change up your branding whenever you want, because you could just put a new theme on it if you wanted to. Shopify basically does what it says on the tin. It's an e-commerce website. Great for selling products. To me, it's best used as what's called a subdomain, where you have a domain that sits slightly under your website that's in relation to your website. But like, say if you were really keen on selling products, like, I don't know, copywriter websites are not really aligned with this, but say if you wanted to sell some merchandise, I know that certain famous copywriters do that. You could use subdomain to create your merchandise store. Just want to talk about the difference between WordPress.org and WordPress.com. Please don't misunderstand me on this one. WordPress.org is the one you want to use out of both of the WordPress platforms. WordPress.com definitely in the past has been free, but now they offer paid options for like supposed hosting, but I still don't think they're great with visibility. So you want to use, as your free platform to go with your hosting, you want to use WordPress.org, because that's the one I've been talking about that is visible online. It's great. It does allow you to do a lot of things with your website. Right, so let's go back to another benefit for you as a copywriter if you decide to create your own website rather than hiring an expensive web developer. You have more control over your website. So you have more control over the decision making from the start. And I know. I was speaking to another lady. I'm helping her with her website now. And she's totally overwhelmed. But if you start right from the beginning, it's easier than you think. What tends to happen with websites, especially if you do, if you go with say, for example, a developer or a designer who doesn't quite get what you need, it can get quite complex quite quickly. Like at the moment, I am helping somebody who really knows kind of what she wants, but is so overwhelmed that she needed somebody to help her understand. She needed somebody in the middle who could understand websites and understand what she wanted from a business and actually communicate with that developer. So it really does depend on your developer's understanding of what your website, what you want as well. So you could spend that $5,000 and then come back and go, it's not really what I wanted. I'm sorry, web developers and web designers all out there. I'm sure there's loads of really great ones. But to me, for this kind of thing, when it's not, like the major focus of your business, I believe that you should try doing it yourself, and then you've got more control. You can make decisions about your website then. What theme you love, what theme you want to buy. What your branding's going to look like. So your fonts, colours, your photography style, your messaging, your brand tone and voice. You can do all that. You're a copywriter, right? It's just going to be so exciting to really apply it to your site. You can craft your own freebie to offer to potential clients and then sort of pop up to deliver that freebie. You can decide your own email service provider to build your email list. You can decide how you want your copywriter portfolio page to look. You can add extra little layers of code that are called plugins to add to speed your site up. Maybe to add a banner to tell people that you're offering a certain service that month. You can, right, and this is the next one, this is the key one, you can spend less. And I think that will resonate with most people here. We just come out of a pandemic. We're trying to make our businesses as profitable as possible. We need to keep our overheads low. Over time, you'll spend less if you try doing it yourself and you set yourself up correctly in the first place. We've already gone into costings for websites. But it does get real. This spend will get real, especially if you don't maybe see the results you want the first time. I have had a couple of clients, website clients recently, that have come back to me, that have said to me they have previously been burned because somehow the communication has broken down where they didn't get, so the result was they didn't get what they wanted. And this is what I want to leave you with. Creating your own copywriter website is actually easier than you think it's going to be, okay? If you break it down into manageable chunks, and we go on a lot about mindset and how to think about this, and I just wanted to leave you with one thing. If I can do it, you can do it, okay? I am nothing special. I did probably a couple of years blogging, and I was a full-time teacher. Now I'm part-time at the moment as I grow my copywriter business, but I have managed to get to that point where I know how to work my copywriter website. I don't need anybody to maintain it because I can do that myself. And now I can share. This is the thing. So then you can find it easier, even easier than I did. I can't wait to help you with that experience. Can you imagine this for a second, right? You set up your copywriter website properly from the first day, right? Okay, it's not going to be a quick fix. It's there for you when you're pitching. If you're deciding that you're cold pitching, it's there for you to link to. It's there for you to share. It's there for you to show potential clients, right? But you will not get the visibility straight away. I'll tell you that now. Just because you need a content strategy as well if you're wanting to make it really visible. But know this. Everything is possible, okay? If I can do it, you can do it. I'll leave you with that. If you want to find out more, you're curious to know how, in depth, how I would do it, because I did it 2 years ago with this website and I continue to do it now, then I'd love you to attend my free training. I've got 3 options for you for the masterclass. If you go into the link that's at the bottom of this podcast or wherever, I've just chucked it in somewhere. Sign up and come over, and I just really want to share with you that it is possible for you to do this. Okay, all right, well, you guys have a great day, and I can't wait to speak to you next week.